Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to OSDIA Live. I'm Lisa Marie Latino, calling in from Jersey City. Joining me here today is Mary Kovach from Cincinnati. We have Mark D'Annunzio from Florida, and our esteemed guest of honor, comedian John D. Domenico, one of the best impersonators you will see out there today. John, thank you so much for joining us here today. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so honored to be a guest on the show today.
So I first learned about you through Cameo.
Oh.
I had ordered a Cameo from somebody that may or may not like Donald Trump, but you, of all the Trump impersonators, I'm like, yes, you were the most expensive, but because you were the best. So we hired you and you did an amazing Trump impression for somebody's birthday. And literally, it was the best present I could have gotten this person, especially now dealing with the quarantine. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And it is a great gift because, you know, you don't have to pick it up. You don't have to drop it off. It lasts forever. You can watch it over and over and over again. I'm plugging Cameo. So.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Cameo. So I want to start off the interview by asking, I mean, you really nailed that Trump impression, from the facial expressions to the tone in his voice to the inflections. And I've seen you do it now in researching you with a variety of other different personalities. How do you match yourself to them?
Well, couple of things. When I was a kid, I was a ham and I loved doing voices, but I also had a speech impediment. So when I got into first grade and they tested me, I did have a speech impediment, and I had, I did 8 years of speech therapy, which really gave me the mechanics of how to figure out how to do somebody's voice. And at the same time, I wanted to be an actor comedian. So for me, as I started, even, you know, very young, when I wanted to do a voice, I didn't feel it was just a voice. I had to, like, when I did Groucho, I had to, you know, I had to have the Groucho, and I had to have the eyebrows and the mustache. And for me, it was always like to do the entire thing. And, you know, as I pursued acting and studied acting, a lot of it became about the physicality and the facial things, and then the component of the voice. And for me, anytime I assume a character, and I'm assuming you saw Austin Powers and Dr. Evil and Dr. Phil and all these things, I want to do it 100%. I want to be like the extreme impersonator. I want to be the character you could watch in a movie for 90 minutes, not just in something for a sketch for, you know, 2.5 minutes. My goal is to make it immersive for whoever watches me. So that's been my choice all along, to kind of go all the way with it, and which is a good thing and a bad thing, depending on if you want to do a live show, because you can only get really 1 or 2 characters in. With Trump specifically, I practice every single day because his voice is so elusive, and it's like sand. It kind of passes right through your hand. You have to really work on him.
Yeah. And you're getting a lot of attention now. Your Trump is going viral.
It sounded like she said I'm going viral. Yeah. I actually been doing him a very long time, but recently a lot of the things that I've done have taken off.
So, John, I want to thank you again for joining us, and congratulations on your recent engagement. I'd like to ask, what is one of your favorite impressions to do, and why?
I love doing Austin Powers because I have been doing him a long time. The response to him, it doesn't matter if I do it here in the US or South America, or I've done him in Italy, I've done him in Bangkok, Thailand. Everyone knows who this character is. And he's one of those characters that everyone loves to see because he's so happy to see you, baby. Yeah, you look groovy, baby. And I just think that people really appreciate like the positive energy he emits, and he's so much fun. And I think people really respond to that. I'm always amazed when I was doing an event. It was right around the 3rd the third movie came out, I was at Monmouth Racetrack in New Jersey because a buddy of mine used to be the marketing manager, and I'm Austin Powers, and a 5-year-old kid's like, he's like, "You're Austin Powers," and then an 85-year-old woman came over to me and goes, "Shag me, baby." And I just thought, like, this character, everyone loves this character. He's one of those iconic characters. He's been around long enough now that 20 years from now, even though there won't be a film, people will know who Austin Powers is.
Have you ever met someone while impersonating them?
I haven't, no. I did Donald Trump's 55th birthday as Austin Powers before I was doing him. I really wanted to meet Mike Myers. The closest I got was his assistant. And it was like, oh, I'm amazed by his incredible talents.
That's fantastic. Mark, do we have any questions? You're on mute.
Yes, we do. From Mike in Tampa wants to know, what's your favorite Italian memory growing up?
My favorite Italian memory is my Aunt Rita, and just so everyone knows, I grew up outside of Philadelphia in Ambler, which was a predominantly Italian town. My Aunt Rita lived in the next row of row homes that I grew up, and she every Sunday did like the full Italian dinner. It was incredible. And it was a tiny house, and I had two biological brothers and my dad, and we didn't always make the cut on the invites. So when we got to go there, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. And then Christmas Eve at her house was always everything, and her making the pizzelles, and she would just like, it was like one woman was like a factory, like making all this food. It was always amazing. And I loved my Aunt Rita a great deal, and it was a lot of wonderful Italian memories because of that. Of course, around food.
I was going to ask, what is your favorite Italian dessert or dish?
Well, when I do corporate, a lot of my work is corporate. I'm also on the road performing. I judge all Italian restaurants, not necessarily on their pasta, but on their tiramisu. Because some have too much booze, some don't have enough, and I just love tiramisu. I love how it can be presented so many different ways, in a glass, on a plate, with a little bit of cinnamon. There's, to me, that means a lot,
Yep.
As a dessert connoisseur.
Mary, I just want to thank you for taking the reins for me, because clearly I'm having technical difficulties. I couldn't dial into the meeting, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we put you on the spot and do a couple impressions?
Yeah,
just so everybody what it is.
I'll do Trump first, because he's such a the greatest president in the history of presidents, other than the late, great Abe Lincoln, who, by the way, wasn't that great. He wasn't that great, Lisa, I have to tell you. What do you have to do with teeny weeny Civil War? What do I get? I get the Kung Flu from Wangchung, China. And we can do Dr. Phil. Hey, everybody, it's me, Dr. Phil. What were you thinking? Hey, listen, it doesn't matter how flat you make a pancake. It's got two sides, okay? And then Austin Powers again, baby, yeah. But if you do Austin Powers, you've got to do Dr. Evil, right? Scott, you're just not evil enough. You're quasi-evil. You're semi-evil. You're the Diet Coke of evil. Just 1 calorie. And this is one of my favorites, Peter Falk. I thought he was great. Folks, I hate to bother you. One more thing. Is it okay if I leave my car out front?
Hysterical. The Trump gets me time. Just the way you squint your eyes and you purse your lip, it's hysterical. And then you put the wig on, it's uncanny.
The wig, the makeup, the little aging, make it a little more ruddy.
Exactly.
He's got such an unusual way of speaking. He speeds up and he slows down. He gets high and he gets low. It's a lot of work, that voice.
Yeah. Well, what else are you working on besides the impressions?
I'm always writing. If you've watched the viral videos, I write those. So I do a lot of writing. Every now and then I'm lucky enough to get an acting role where I actually play myself. I was on The Sopranos, but I played a Jewish character. I played Harry Weinstein because they said, you just don't look Italian enough. I'm thinking like, really? Okay. You know, all right. But I got to be on the show and I got to meet a lot of the cast members. It was an amazing day. But a lot of my work as a performer, live performing, which is the thing I love. I love getting in front of an audience. I love that instantaneous reaction, how you can kind of gauge your performance. Is obviously not happening because of the COVID-19, because of the pandemic. But usually I'm on the road anywhere from about 25 to 30 weeks a year, doing national sales meetings for major corporations and ticketed shows and live performances in other parts of the country. But right now I'm concentrating on just, since we all live online, just putting out as much content as possible and feeding all of the different platforms and writing and kind of prepping for when this is going to be over. So I'm looking down the road. I have a lot of friends in Europe, and production, TV and film production is starting up over there. And a couple of my friends have told me to start getting in contact with the European casting directors to maybe work in Europe before things kind of get back to normal here. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's really cool. And you know what? That might open up a whole new revenue stream and another level of fame.
I would love that. Yeah. I mean, I'm really grateful for Cameo because it's really been incredible. I do 2 shows a week. I do the Trump cast. I do the tweets for that. And I do voiceovers for Planet America, which is in Australia. And I do usually 5 or 6 Trump tweets for that. And then I do some other political voices. This week I was Richard Nixon and a couple of people that no one would know, a bunch of vice presidents that, because they just said, do a Midwestern voice or do this or something, a Southern voice. So it was more accents than specific impersonations.
Yeah. So Mark, do you have any questions from our audience?
Yes, I do. Bob Bianchi from New Jersey asked, do you have an Italian impersonation that you can do?
I like it. If anybody I do, it's my grandfather, because he had the great, it was a soft Italian accent. It always is like a music to my ear. He sounded like a little bit like a Father Guido Sarducci, That was mine. But I would love to do like Marcello Mastroianni and people like that, because I love the sound of their voices is so great. But there's never been a call for it here. So it's more of something I do for myself.
Yeah. Mark, do you have any others?
Yes, I do. Chris Morganelli asked, they're all Italians listening to this. Is it hard to go back to your normal voice after an impersonation?
It's funny. My voice was actually higher, and because I've done Trump so much since he announced, I was doing him before that, but my own family have noticed that I'm speaking more like him, and my voice has dropped kind of an octave. It's gone down an octave because his voice is 2 octaves below my voice. So I always have to kind of suppress my normal speaking voice. So there's been a little bit of when you're doing somebody essentially every single day and you're putting the makeup and the wig on, you kind of start assuming some of their vocal and physical. I find myself doing this, doing that. Even if I was doing an event before, the pandemic started, I was Austin Powers. I'm like, yeah, baby. And I put my thumb up. I go, uh-oh, I'm running the characters together. So. Okay.
No, that's great. Mary, anything else?
I was wondering, have you ever thought about touring all of your characters?
I have, and we've talked about a one-man show for a while. I live in a town where I could probably do a one-man show, and we've been talking about it for quite a while. And my main thing with this is because I like to do, like I mentioned before, I really like to do full makeup. So we were trying to come up with a structure where I would probably come out as myself we would go to a video of me in one full makeup character. Come out of that, I could be in another full makeup character live, and then go to another video. It's just trying to come up with a structure that'll work, and how much an audience is willing to have me off stage while I change, or maybe add a second female character in, so we can balance the time. While I'm changing, she's changing, something like that. But I would love to tour. And because of the Trump impersonation, I have people contacting me from all over the world. For some reason, I did 6 appearances on This Morning in London. So I got a very big following in the UK. I actually went over there to perform a couple of shows, and it made me aware of the fact that I could probably do a run here. So that's one of the things we're definitely looking at. To be able to produce a one-man show or a 2-person show and do all of these different characters, and the characters would somehow interact. It's just, to be honest, it always comes down to one thing: money. So a producer who has the money to front the show. But I think writing it would be actually easier than anything else.
So before, when I was having my technical difficulties, I was asking you about going viral. Howard Stern just mentioned you. You have been with Alec Baldwin.
Yes.
Talk to me about getting that kind of notoriety among those peers.
Well, it's interesting because during the run-up to the election, when Trump announced, I was one of the few people doing Trump, especially in full makeup. There really wasn't anybody doing him on a regular basis, and I've been doing corporately. So when he announced, everybody came to me, and I'm very grateful for that. So I ended up on Fox News, 50 appearances, Conan O'Brien, over 50 appearances, Chelsea Handler, ended up on Planet America, Trump, all these shows. And in that period, on the run up to the election, a little after, I did over 300 interviews. I was in the New York Times, I was in the Washington Post 5 times. All these things happened. But the funny thing is, because I have a mask on, because I'm someone else, it's odd. It doesn't stick, if you know what I mean. The viral thing is amazing, but because people can't see me, there's like this little bit of disconnect. Because if I, as me, had done 300 interviews, you'd know exactly who I am. But because I did those interviews most of the time in character, especially if they were on TV, news things, people don't necessarily know who I am. So the viral thing is great. It creates a lot of buzz, directs a lot of people back to me on YouTube and Instagram and all these amazing things. And then it just makes me want to work harder to kind of expand the audience and do something else that's viral, and kind of keep that going. But it's not like people are going necessarily looking towards me as me. They're looking to me as the Trump guy. It's a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, but you know what? Your star is fast on the rise, and people will know you as a household name as equal to your impersonation.
Oh, thank you so much.
I certainly believe that. I definitely believe that. So before we wrap, Mary, I know that we have some information we want to share with our viewers.
Yes. Let's see if we can share this. So again, we want to thank John for being our guest today. If you're interested in joining us at the Order of Sons and Daughters of Italy in America, to become a member, you can join us at OSIA.org, OSIA.org, or you can follow us. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Pinterest.
Wow, Pinterest too. You guys are literally on everything. And all your social media is fantastic, by the way. Who's ever doing it is doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, John, this was so much fun. I'm happy to meet the man behind the cameo. So thank you.
That's
Mary,
great.
Mark.
If you brought that up. Yeah. And if anyone Cameo, go to Cameo, find me under my name, and I can do it for any character. Obviously, Trump's the most popular right now.
Yes. No, of course. And congratulations to all of your success. Mary, thank you so much for having my back as I deal with these technical difficulties, but happy we got it straightened out. And Mark, thank you for being an amazing moderator.
Thank you, Lisa Marie, for hosting. And again, thank you to John for coming on and sharing a little bit of your life with us and the background of all your success. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be on.
Bye.
Bye-bye.